The message arrived at exactly 9:46 p.m. Your daughter has been taken to the hospital. She collapsed at a party. I didn't scream. I didn't panic. I just stood there, motionless, my fingers curling around the edge of my keys like they might anchor me. When I got to the hospital, a police officer was already waiting near the emergency entrance. Sir, I need you to wait out here. You can't go in right now. It's best if you don't see her at the moment. My own daughter. And he couldn't even look me in the eye. That was the first betrayal of the night. 15 minutes passed. Then my wife walked out of the hospital room with a laugh. Her mother followed, also chuckling like nothing was wrong. And right then, something inside me went still. I didn't shout. I didn't question them. I just observed. The overhead lights buzzed above them like the scene of an interrogation, but no one offered any answers. My wife reached out, briefly touching my arm. She's okay, she said. Just a scare. Thank God, right? I gave a small nod, but I didn't believe a word. And I didn't step into that hospital room. Instead, I drove home. The silence in the car was louder than any scream I'd ever heard. Something had cracked, not just between my daughter and me, but in the very foundation of everything. The next morning, I began clearing out my office, not from sorrow, but with strategy. I changed every shared password. I contacted the attorney I'd kept on standby for emergencies. This situation qualified. I didn't pack a bag or move out. That would have drawn attention. No, I stayed. And I became invisible. No fights. No confrontations. Just a growing distance. I stopped returning greetings in the morning. Stopped filling her mother's prescriptions. Stopped quietly paying off my wife's credit card each month. And for a while, they didn't notice. 3 weeks later, it began to unravel. The trust fund I had created for my daughter's future, frozen. The LLC that helped fund my wife's boutique, dissolved. Suddenly, her bank notifications began buzzing at random hours. She asked if the card reader at her shop was broken. It wasn't. I was the system, and I had shut it down. One night, her mother called me. There's some kind of tech issue. Can you fix the payment gateway? I told her I'd look into it. I didn't. Then came the panic. Rent for the boutique bounced. The anonymous investor, gone. The shop manager walked out, claiming she hadn't received a paycheck in 6 weeks. My wife blamed the economy. I blamed her laughter outside that ER door. That's when the messages began. Why are you so cold to me? Are you punishing me for something I don't understand? She's fine now. Can't we just move forward? But no one explained what had really happened that night. No one told me what substances had been in my daughter's body. No one mentioned why 2 officers had to restrain the boy who brought her in. No one explained why. When I saw my daughter 2 days later, she looked at me like I was the one who'd hurt her. I didn't ask. I was already digging. The twist didn't come from a PI. It came from an old phone, hers. She'd passed it down to her cousin without wiping it. And on that device, I found messages, screenshots, text threads, conversations between my wife and her mother, plans for that party, a boy who'd been paid, alcohol arranged, a hotel room reserved. They tried to push her toward the boy, whose father happened to be rich. They wanted her to get close, to make a connection, to turn innocence into leverage. But my daughter fought back. She panicked, resisted. That's why she collapsed. And they laughed because it failed. They assumed she'd forget, that she was young enough to forgive, that I was naive enough to stay quiet. They were wrong. I showed my daughter the messages. Privately, she didn't cry. I thought it was my fault, she said. I told her it wasn't, and that I'd handle everything. The next day, I filed for full custody. The attorney moved fast. I'd been collecting documentation for months. I shifted our funds, transferred property titles to my name, completely legal. My wife had signed a refinance document last year without reading the fine print. Her mother was evicted from her condo 2 weeks later. She called me 6 times. How could you do this to your own family? I never replied. I left my wedding ring in a drawer. No letter, no farewell, just absence. My daughter and I moved across the city. New home, new school, new phone number. I told her, decorate your room however you want. We painted it sky blue. She smiled for the first time in months. Time passed. Then one Sunday afternoon, there was a soft knock on the door. My wife stood there, holding an old photo album. Her mother stood behind, with that same fake smile. "We've changed," she said. "We just want to talk. We miss her." I didn't yell. I didn't invite them in. I just looked them in the eye and said, "You had your chance. You used her. She's not your pawn anymore." Then I closed the door, slowly, without sound. They don't call now. Sometimes I still see their names pop up on the block list. That's enough. My daughter's laughter echoes through the house now. It's real, unforced, free. As for me, I've come to understand something. Betrayal is an art. But revenge? Revenge is craftsmanship. And I never leave imperfections in my work.